UFC 317 went down in Las Vegas, International Fight Week. Put all my hating aside. It was fantastic. It was soul cleansing. There was a lot of things going on here, and it was also all things Ilia Topuria. You know what I'm going to say? To paraphrase the great Larry Merchant after Pacquiao Cotto in 2009, we knew Ilia Topuria was great. He's better than we thought. So, Luke, the question is, how great here after Topuria didn't just become the 10th two-division champion in UFC history, the first to do so unbeaten, and oh, by the way, he stopped Charles Oliveira within one round. It felt like there's enough crazy hyperbole running through me to suggest a few other things. That Topuria also might have saved the UFC from its own self-inflicted slump of late in this calendar year, possibly became the new face of the promotion single-handedly, and maybe even past rival Islam Makhachev for pound number one. So, Luke Thomas, in your opinion, how much of what I just said is true? What did Ilia actually accomplish on Saturday night?
All of that. And then I think you're actually leaving a little bit on the table, if I'm being honest with you. But let's talk about the part that you raised. Did he become the face of the UFC? We can't say whether or not he did, but he damn sure should be. We just had how long did this last, this John Jones saga, where he toyed with the fan base and left everyone demoralized. And one thing I said on, I think it was last week's MK, or I can't remember exactly, but one thing I said was, you know what, though, it would, like, MMA needs right now is what he offered as a light heavyweight run. Like, that John Jones would have electrified MMA. Well, here comes Ilia Topuria to the rescue. He is arguably, to your point, and it is arguable, but he is arguably the best fighter in the sport. He is the most dynamic puncher I think I've ever seen in all of MMA in all my 20 years of watching.
Hyperbole.
It's not hyperbole.
From setup to delivery to power to patience to
footwork, everything.
And as you're pointing out, deep tape study.
Incredible tape study that he does. So there's that. I think he's easy to now. My hope is actually, I know I walked in the room today and everyone's like, oh, here comes the congratulations parade. But I actually have a different request. My request would be,
wow.
It's I think quite reasonable. I think it's in everyone's interest, the entire sport's interest, that we actually rally around this guy because he can inject life and status and gigantic moments of history into the sport if we help facilitate that through realizing he's the guy.
I'm also waiting for you to add on, and oh, by the way, suck my pelotas.
Yeah. Also, lick the backside of my balls and tell me what they taste like. Okay. That's what you can do. There's one more thing I'd like to say, though.
Sure.
This is going to sound insane, and I don't mind sounding insane. I don't know what will happen next. So he could fight Saryukian next and lose, get out-wrestled 5 rounds, and this is the end. But what I'm going to say is, through 17 fights, this is one of the most, if not the most decorated run in all of MMA history. It's at least on par with some of those considerations. If you are this far into your run, you're 28 years old, you're a 2-weight world champion, and you're icing people.
And the only unbeaten 2-weight world champion.
Yeah, and you're icing people along the way who are themselves legends in the game. It is at least worth considering, not has he achieved it, BC, but what trajectory is Ilia Topuria on? And the answer is, one plausible claim you could make is he's headed towards Mount Rushmore territory. He is not there. I'm not declaring to you he will get there, but I'm asking you, look at all the greats, look at what they did through 17 fights, and tell me it's as good as this one. You can do John Jones like that, absolutely. You could not do that with St. Pierre, who already got armbarred by Matt Hughes before that. You could not do it with Demetrius Johnson. You could not do it with Anderson Silva. You could not do it with Daniel Cormier. You could not do it, I don't think, to the same degree with Jose Aldo. Ilia Topuria, when I said it on Saturday night, is doing something historic. Well, will he get to that upper level? I don't know. But the path he's on is, if he stays on it, is going to take him there. That's where he's headed.
There's been times in recent years when someone flashes on and you say, wow, this could be the next thing, whether it's Sean O'Malley, whether it's Pereira in his own unique arc coming in like he did, and really for a short period taking over the sport in a lot of ways, being the most valuable player. But to everything you just said, I don't feel like I've ever been more confident that this will pan out. I mean, it's panning out right in front of our eyes. This man who I want to cheer against, and I have had fun.
Why? Can we unpack that?
Let me. I'll tell you right now. Originally, why I wanted to cheer against him is because I won't call him cocky because there is like this humility to him. There is this humble, hardworking, well-prepared side to him. But the fact that he's so willing to do things that we consider passé, bad luck, bad karma, change your Twitter account to champion before it happens, pose with the belts, which he did once again, like seeing the bride before the ceremony, right? Making the claims that he does. I think a lot of people saw the translated face-to-face at the face-off between him and Oliveira, where he's almost like apologizing in advance, like, I love you, I'm sorry it had to be you, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And then he does it. You want to say, okay, he's putting the cart before the horse, he's too cocky, he's too this, he's too that. No, he's different. He's unique. You know that term the kids say, it just hits different? He just hits different. But I think in general, how he handles himself, how he prepares himself, and how he ultimately executes, just fucking different. Let's go to this first meme, Long Island Luke, if you can, to show the results of Charles and then those quotes around it. I'm very sorry. I didn't want it to be with you.
It's Scorsese level cinema.
He delivered that not with trash talk. He delivered that with like
candor,
humble heart. Like, brother, I love you. I respect you. But they made you sign up for this and I'm taking you out. Dude, I'm not a hater of him. I'm not, as much as this sounds like gobble gobble, I'm more looking at it as I'm impressed by what he's doing. I'm impressed by what he could mean during a time where UFC kind of sucks right now. We've said it all the time, not financially, but everything else. There's just no storytelling, cohesion, heroes to get behind. Like, this just felt really good. And he was the lightning rod behind that. And I'm here to say that right now, I'm not putting constraints on any hyperbole because he's backing up every fucking thing he ever said that he was or said that he's going to do. And I know it's not going to be next. And I know in that post-fight press conference that the UFC debuted, did you see that?
Where Dan Helly and somebody else interviewed him?
We have a clip for it, but it's not this clip because I didn't see this specific clip I'm mentioning until the next morning. But in one of those clips that we don't have, he did mention the UFC made him promise not to win this title and then go directly to welterweight and announce that he's giving it up, and sort of following some kind of Conor playbook of just jumping from opportunity to opportunity. But like, if he's going to be the chosen one that is the first to try to become a 3-division champion, as of right now, even though, yes, there were some, I'm glad. Okay, here's what I'm saying. I'm glad that he actually, for as long as this fight lasted, I'm glad that Topuria did meet some resistance from Oliveira, that he did get taken down, that he did walk into that sort of forearm elbow that threw.
No, he didn't get taken down.
Oh, ultimately ends up on his back after that scramble, right?
Nope.
And then reverses it and goes on top. What am I missing here? What am I misremembering?
Topuria, so Oliveira shot. Topuria pulls him up, flattens him against the fence. Oliveira tries to pull him off the fence and turn him, and he was going for the takedown. Topuria reverses it like a fucking beast mid-air. This is what I'm talking about. This motherfucker is not like other fighters.
So as much as I want to have the conversation of like, did we see any potential limitations at this weight class? And is 170 too far of a leap? I'm not going to doubt this guy, Luke, until he shows me that he can't do it. And there's been very rare fighters in UFC history who you're just like, whatever you're willing to try, I'm willing to believe you can do it. Seriously. Maybe it was Poatan in a window where we thought, maybe he could move up to heavyweight and knock out the champion. Or maybe it was when Adesanya looked like he was about to make some huge leaps. But there's been times where people are like, Conor was one of them, where you're like, I can't put limits on this guy because he just steps up and delivers. He does it differently than Conor. For all that we can accuse him.
He's much better than Conor. He's not as big. Not nearly as big.
Big,
and the Conor
big-wise, what do you mean? Physically or
well, that too. I mean, I guess Conor's bigger, but I'm saying, dude, by the time Conor was even fighting Poirier or Chad Mendes, those fights were bigger than any of Topuria's fights, just in terms of size and audience. It just was. But in terms of skill, Topuria's significantly better than him.
All right, stay with the skill topic. You mentioned and you explained to me how beautiful the reverse was for him to take top position on the ground and basically not succumb to a larger fighter trying to rush him and walk him down. What was most impressive to you about the complete execution of what he did within one round on Saturday?
I think two things I want to say, and I would love to get Long Island Luke to weigh in on here. To me, when he said pre-fight, it's going to go about 2 or 3 minutes, and it ends up going 2.5 fucking minutes. I know it, to me, that even sounded implausible at the time. I thought he would win, but it sounded like, wow, that's just crazy. But he clearly understands himself and his relationship to what his contemporaries can do in a way that, like, everyone else is kind of just slow to wake up around. It's not, I don't think he was just saying that and he lucked into it because he's got big power. He basically knew Charles was going to try a few things, was going to exchange with him, and then that was just going to be it. And that's exactly what happened. But you asked a specific example. You mentioned he had to face a little bit of adversity. He took that nose shot from the elbow by Oliveira. That's the exact same sequence that the fight ended on. But there's a difference. In the final sequence, after getting drilled this way, you had him flat-footed the first time. You had Oliveira jump into range, kind of pull him out of it a little bit. So he jumps into range and then hits that short-range shot with the elbow. Topuria got kind of caught off guard. By the final sequence, jabs to the body, jabs upstairs. What happens if you jab a guy twice? You got to know he's coming back with something. Sure enough, here comes Oliveira. But this time, rather than doing what he did before, which was step out 1, 2, 3, he actually did 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So he took one extra step back and one extra step out. Not a huge one, just enough for him to find that right hand. And I want to point out something. Recall the right hand. BC, it wasn't even with full extension.
No, and don't forget that jab that split the card right before that right hand.
Yes.
That jab sort of kept Oliveira in place.
All of his jabs were so powerful, they were getting right through Oliveira's guard. But the point I wanted to make was he slightly adjusted just this. That's it. And that's all he needed. Partly, Oliveira's moving into it, so it's forces colliding. But this is what I mean. These tiny little adjustments, it sounds like nothing, but then you ask, well, why can't anyone else do it? Or very few anyway. Because it's very difficult to be able to do that. The sense, the spatial awareness, the calmness, the decision-making, it's a different level of fighter here.
And just, this whole idea of could this be the best boxing we've ever seen in UFC or MMA history? Is he the most deadly, efficient setup to deliver the boom of anyone we've ever seen? It seems true, Luke. And mind you, he trains in his own house, in his own basement with his brother as the trainer, and he left a team to do that, right? Like this is
the Clement brothers, yeah.
They are ahead of the freaking game. And the comparisons to the breakout stardom and some things are comparable to Conor, but they're different. But this side by side was interesting that people are floating around. If you can show that of Conor putting out Jose Aldo and then
by the way, 2 Brazilians
in the same exact manner of knocking him down and then coming in with the hammer punch. It's so significant there.
That's so incredible to me, dude.
They're different strikers, but you mentioned Topuria, probably a better, well-rounded fighter without question than
better
McGregor.
jiu-jitsu, significantly better wrestling.
You can either go Pimblet, which would be a fucking fantastic build, and there's a lot of people that want to see Patty get handled like that. You could go Saryukin, which is probably the best fight of the three. You could go Gaethje, which is marketable for the action potential, even though he'd probably carve Gaethje up. And they seem to tell him not to call out Islam, and we'll put that big super fight on the back burner. What should be next for Topuria in his first title defense at 155? And who do you think will be next? Those are 2 separate questions.
So if the top choice is, if Islam is out, for obvious reasons.
So you have 3 guys.
You have 3 guys. You have Gaethje, you have Paddy Pimblett, and then you have Arman Saryukin.
Yep. And Gaethje's threatening retirement, and Dana said Saturday post-fight, if you're talking about retirement,
Bro, he
you should
blew
probably
that
retire.
one. It is so amazing to me that these guys think that they can sit. I respect, everyone respects Justin Gaethje's career. Everybody, including us, especially us. But it is so unfucking believable to me that guys think that they can say, I mean, maybe if he's saying it because that's the way he feels, but there's no angle associated with it, which, trying to do reverse psychology and get the fight. But I tend to think that there probably is some reverse psychology. It's a fucking monopoly. They don't care. I don't know how else to say it. They don't care. They don't care if you retire. They don't give a flying fuck if you retire. They don't care. So, okay, putting that aside, I think the answer should be Saryukin.
Yeah.
And I would accept Patty. I'm actually a lot less interested in Justin Gaethje.
Okay.
I think there are good fights for Justin Gaethje. So, for example, let's say they go Ilia Arman. Then Patty Gaethje to me is electric.
Yeah.
I'm all in on that one. But let me tell you why I'm picking it the way I'm picking it. Saryukin to me, I know what Dana White said, but you asked me the question personally. Sure. He was the number 1 contender. And to me, I did see someone bring this up to me on my post-fight show, and I'd like to repeat it here, and I think they're right. Okay, they say, I'm not taking anything away from the Volt KO. By the way, everyone being like, oh, that's because of the Islam KO. No, he would have gone down no matter what, which is what I've been fucking saying to all of you. But okay, putting that aside, He beats Max, and then he beats now Oliveira. Time for him to fight someone in his 20s. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So that's why the Patty and the Armin shot, the title shot I like. Armin, to me, however, is the most interesting choice.
Yes.
Because his wrestling is so dominant and so consistent. He can do it for long periods of time. And I didn't see Oliveira necessarily overwhelm Topuria, but I did see him have to work for it.
So that ties into the rightful question of whether it is welterweight a bridge too far potentially, or are there other lightweight title defense opportunities that could end up being a physical bridge too far? Could Topuria end up in trouble? Because remember, Topuria said, Oliveira's kind of tailor-made for me. I won't have to chase him. He'll come at me. That's exactly what happened.
He was so right.
He knocked him the fuck out after some early adversity or at least resistance. Do you believe that not that it's matchup dependent? Topuria's great. He might be the best in the sport. But even at 55, are there potential traps for him?
Yeah. Saryukian is one for sure. That's a one. Patty, to me, is interesting. Not striking. I think if they strike, he's going to get his chin sent into another dimension.
Well, you can't. Scousers, you don't get KO'd. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I bet Topuria can test that theory. Okay. However, he is big. He's fucking big.
Yeah.
And his back taking and back maintenance, submissions, guard, these are all real threats. These are things that could be real problems for Ilia, and I definitely take that part of it seriously. With Gaethje, I just feel like it'd be a matter of time before he got cracked, and that would be that. So those are the two choices. You're asking beyond that. I guess we'll have to see, but I don't know, aside from Islam and Patty, who I'm supposed to be looking at. Now, I saw Mauricio Houfi.
Maybe McGregor.
Mauricio McGregor.
It's a ceremonial fight.
McGregor would get stretched.
Yes,
but
fight.
Mauricio Houfi was out there talking a big game. Certainly on the feet, he gives me like real interesting vibes. But I don't know about the rest of his game and his takedown defense and blah, blah, blah. So right now what I'm going to say is there's a couple of guys I think that could give him problems, but I wouldn't pick any of them over Ilia right now.
I think it'd be a bad look to not do the Patty fight next if you just did what they did, which was hype it up and put him in there. And it was fun hype up.
Maybe seriously, here's a theory of mine, and not a theory, just I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying, wouldn't it be interesting if there's like a rogue employee in the production truck who's like, we can't fucking take this guy's decisions anymore, and then he's like, get Patty's fucking ass in there, and Rogan's like, let's get Patty in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that man's name is Hunter Campbell.
Yeah,
that's that man's name.
Forcing his hand. You know what I mean?
And Hunter's got Ari and Shapiro in his ear saying, make big matchups with trash talk. Let's do it how we used to do it. I mean, I don't know if that's true because it seems to be a TKO decision too of late to not spend the money to promote the big one, but everything Topuria will be a part of moving forward will be the big one. So yeah, I hope it is Patty next.